This block of Pleasant Street is still taped off at this hour as investigators here work to secure the crime scene. The motel is located right off of I-95. That makes it convenient for criminals. And after 75 calls at this location in the last year, she found out the child had been drawn on with a marker, an inappropriate drawing allegedly made by a Toyin. And as you can see here behind us, they are waiting for buses that will take them to Bangor later tonight. I want to show you what the snow actually looks like. I'm going to try to shovel some of the snow with one hand. We wanted to walk you through the display and show you exactly what's going on here tonight. Take a look up here. The house used a GPS tracking feature right on that iPad mini called Find My iPad. There's one on the iPhone as well. We're not going to have any friends at the station.
I don't know how you got grouped with me, but let's do it.
All right.
Here we go.
Count of three.
3, 2, 1.
Well, Dan, police tell us the man who was on the roof of that house behind us was 20-year-old Thomas Morrison, and they say he has emotional problems. It was a tense couple of hours here this afternoon as that man spoke with police negotiators.
A whole bunch of police officers come in the fire trucks, and it seemed to be more than normal, so I figured something was going on.
Tense moments just before 4 this afternoon as police and rescue crews helped 20-year-old Thomas Morrison off the roof of his home on Kipling Street.
He was wanted for a first-degree robbery. Police went to the house to apprehend him. He saw police. He fled from the police. He ended up on the roof.
Police say Morrison was on the roof for about 2 hours. Neighbors told us they saw Morrison and wondered why so many police and fire vehicles were in the neighborhood.
They've been pretty good at keeping him, on the roof and not jumping off. So
others clinging to hope that he would be rescued safely.
That they get him off safely, not like put a big blow-up thing or something under there. Like, get him. He's not going to be able to get down by himself.
Eventually, police negotiators worked with the young man to bring him down. Police say Morrison has emotional problems and has for years. By the time he came down, they say he was shaking and glad it was over. Well, Morrison was taken to the hospital just about an hour ago. We've learned he was not physically hurt, but we're told he will be treated. Tonight, we learned Aaron Gant worked as a landscaper as part of a community program to put young men to work. The man who runs that program says he was heartbroken to learn about what happened here last night.
No one deserves to die. This kid especially didn't deserve what happened to him.
Aaron Gant Jr.'s photo will soon join the others on this wall. Portraits of young men murdered here in New Bedford. Gant died after a shooting on Pleasant Street on New Year's Eve. Community leader Buddy Andrade says Gant worked as a landscaper through the Safe and Successful Youth Initiative program on and off for about 3 years.
They wasn't the fastest guys, okay, but it wasn't about being fast. It was about trying to get them to get into the use of coming to work, being on time, wearing proper clothing, talking properly.
The program works with young men in their teens and early 20s in a neighborhood stricken with poverty, drugs, and gang violence. Andrade says Gant lived further up Bedford Street with his grandmother. He'd earned his GED last month.
And I'm telling you, when you saw him the day that he heard that he passed his GED, you would have never been able to associate him with this kind of stuff because he was so happy and so proud of himself.
Neighbors tell NBC 10 Gant was sitting in a car when he was shot Thursday.
This was a beautiful young man that had a lot to live for and a lot to go for, and he was turning that bend there on the road to go to a happier life, and he gets shot down.
For Andrade, it's a heartbreaking loss.
So maybe he's going to be in a happier place now, I don't know, but I do know that he had a lot more to offer than what just happened to him.
Well, Andrade says he is planning a vigil for Gant early next week. At this point, police have not made any arrests in this investigation. Well, Jean and Allison, the Rhode Island Attorney General's office tells me as of this morning, they'd received 150 complaints from people who have outstanding gift certificates. That's just since yesterday when our Stories on Files closing aired, but this could affect you if you have a gift certificate to any restaurant that goes out of business. I took a look today at what state laws are on the books to protect you. We've been following the story for 2 weeks. Fayal Restaurant suddenly closed June 25th, only to reopen days later.
Nobody knows what happened or why.
This week, it closed again without warning and apparently for good.
I expect them to give me $75.
Customers with outstanding gift certificates tell NBC 10 they're not sure what to do now.
I guess I'll hang it on the wall and remember that I had a lot of good meals here.
I looked at Rhode Island laws to find out what your recourse is for situations like this.
He sells certificates and then he closes the door.
Rhode Island's law about gift certificates only says the seller has to record the sale, including the date, value of the certificate, and ID number.
$25 gift certificate.
Good news for customers, gift certificates do not expire, but there's no provision about what happens if a business closes. I searched through filings on the Secretary of State website and found this owner, Jose Feria, and his wife have owned several restaurants that have closed before. I called the Attorney General's office to ask about that and was told that has no impact on the current situation as it relates to their investigation. No one from the AG's office was available to speak with me on camera. They also say there's no law they're aware of that requires owners to put funds from gift certificates in a separate account in case they go under. And it appears customers aren't the only ones left high and dry. The state and all taxpayers lose out. Business owners take in money with the sale of gift certificates, but only pay taxes out when and if they're redeemed. Bottom line, there's no law on the books that prevents an owner from selling gift certificates, then shutting down, pocketing the cash, leaving customers and the state out of luck.
And I don't understand how this person could get away with cheating all these people who bought certificates.
In the case of Fael's, that means more than 150 people are in the lurch with no idea if they'll ever get their money back. I spoke with a tax expert late this afternoon who said she's never come across this before, but she suggested the state could do an audit of a business that had closed and collect the taxes owed from gift certificates. If not, that expert says the business owners should report it on their tax returns as income, but that does you, the consumer, no good. So since there are almost no state laws in Rhode Island that protect you if the business closes, here's how you can protect yourself. If you pay for a gift certificate by credit card rather than with cash, sometimes your credit card company will reimburse you for your loss if the business closes. In Rhode Island, the AG's office says you should also file a complaint on their website, riag.ri.gov, under the Consumer Protection tab. And as for Fael's, I called the owner's house today to try to speak with him about what's next, but got the answering machine. The restaurant's website also says they've closed. At the other end of this hallway, a fire is burning. There's a person lying lifeless on the ground. Your job is to get him out safely.
Everybody has a perception of what we do, but there's a different reality.
Paul Dowdy of the Providence Fire Department says Fire Ops 101 is a training simulation for elected officials, people who make decisions affecting public safety. I joined them Friday to find out what firefighters go through every day. Pants, boots, jacket, a hood, gloves, an oxygen mask, and a helmet. Altogether, 60 pounds of gear.
Physically, it's much more demanding than being a police officer by far. And it also requires such teamwork.
That's my training teammate, Providence Public Safety Commissioner Stephen Perry, who's been a police officer for 27 years. He's been through Fire Ops 101 once before, but this is my first time. Together, we tackle half a dozen evolutions or training stations.
This is what we need to do to get into a lot of the buildings in the city of Providence,
including forcing open a steel door, rescuing a dummy victim from inside this dumpster, crawling on our hands and knees with an actual fire burning inside.
How was it?
Perry and I also work on cutting a victim out of a car, cracking the windshield and using cutters and spreaders. And by the way, we're taking breaks off camera in between each station. That's not an option when you're fighting real fires.
It's easy to criticize, easy to see the number of firefighters at a fire, or number of firefighters, responding to a crash or whatever, and you'd say, why are there 12 or 16 or 20 firefighters?
So far this year, Dowdy says there have been more fires in the city of Providence than there were this time last year due to the long winter. He hopes this class will give politicians perspective on the impact of their decisions.
They may not walk a mile in our shoes, but at least they take a couple steps.
In Providence, Olivia Fecteau, NBC 10 News. Good morning. We're taking a look at the camera at the Newport Hyatt, looking out on the Newport Bridge. And as you can see, it is so windy, even our camera is shaking. We'll have news and weather coming up for you next.
Thank you for turning to 10. This is Southern New England's news leader.
A Boston police officer is out of the hospital after being brutally attacked. The scene all caught on camera. Now the city is praising his bravery. Police find a car full of weapons near Gillette Stadium. Now a Connecticut man is in custody and due in court. And there's at least one more chance to become a millionaire. We'll have a look at the winning lottery numbers and how much the jackpot is up to now. Good morning, everyone. I'm Olivia Fecteau in for Mario Hilario. Thanks for joining us this Sunday morning. I'm joined by Kelly Bates, who has your first look at this windy day and the rest of the forecast. Thanks, Kelly. We begin with news that's breaking overnight. Providence police have a suspect in custody in connection with a late-night stabbing. Police tell NBC 10 the attack happened at 86 Updike Street sometime between 11 p.m. and midnight. We know a man was stabbed several times, but his injuries are considered not life-threatening. A man was taken into custody and is being held. Police say the stabbing was the result of a domestic dispute. New on Sunrise, a late-night fire on the Cape is under investigation. Hyannis Fire Captain Eric Fahrenkopf tells NBC 10 a box truck caught fire at the U-Haul on Beers Way just before midnight. Flames also spread to the outside of the building. No injuries were reported. Police find a car full of weapons near Gillette Stadium. Now one person is in custody and he's due in court tomorrow. NBC 10's Matt Reed tells us how and where authorities found the vehicle. That was Matt Reed reporting. Despite making it into the employee parking lot at the stadium, police say the suspect is not an employee. A Boston police officer is out of the hospital after a brutal attack. The suspect is now in custody and facing charges. The scene was caught on camera. As you can see in this video, a man walks up to the police officer and starts punching. The officer fought back. His actions are being applauded by the city's police commissioner and the public.
I think that's great. I think it's important, and there's going to be different situations for different cops, and I think there are a lot of great cops out there that do the right thing.
The commissioner released a statement that reads in part, quote, "This officer displayed incredible restraint, defending himself without the use of a baton, pepper spray, or deadly force, even though the situation may have warranted it. I speak on behalf of my entire department when I say we are all thankful this officer is going to be okay." Authorities identify the suspected attacker as Andrew Bowman. The 23-year-old Everett man faces charges of assault and battery on a police officer and resisting arrest. 3 Woonsocket residents are facing attempted insurance fraud charges. The Valley Breeze reports all 3 are due to appear in court next month. Police said Judith Fisher, shown on the right, tried to get a friend to dump a vehicle in the Blackstone River last month. The Woonsocket Call reports the 33-year-old Fisher has been charged with insurance fraud, falsely reporting a crime, and conspiracy. Also charged is Fisher's husband, Matthew, and their alleged accomplice, Anthony O'Brien. A tragic discovery in a Pennsylvania canal, the body of a 5-year-old boy. The boy, Jaleel Vega Batista, was autistic. He had disappeared New Year's Eve, setting off an intense round-the-clock search. His body was discovered after a resident spotted the boy's tablet in the canal. An autopsy will be performed to determine when Jaleel entered the water. In Israel, funerals will be held today for the 2 people killed by a gunman in Tel Aviv. Now the manhunt is on to find the killer. Police say the gunman, identified as Nishat Milhem, opened fire at a bar on Friday. Several others were wounded by the gunfire. Video showed many people diving for cover.
We saw people get out of their cars and run towards the action. Some of them grabbed their guns.
The father of the suspected shooter offered condolences. Other family members said Milhem was a troubled man with a criminal record. State troopers in Massachusetts are planning an educational campaign on the use of drones. This public awareness campaign comes after 2 commercial jets reported seeing drones near their flight paths at Logan Airport in Boston. One of the drones was spotted less than 2 miles from a runway and 800 feet off the ground. Both of those are FAA violations. The state police educational campaign on drones is expected to begin later this month. Massachusetts state lawmakers this week will consider making the roads safer for bicyclists. Several bills will come before the legislature's Transportation Committee. One measure would ban drivers from stopping or parking their cars on any bike lane. Another would require drivers to provide at least 3 feet when passing a bicyclist, even if it means the car or truck would have to cross the center line. And advocacy group Mass Bike wants to mandate placing side guards on trucks or other large vehicles. Coverage you trust continues here on Weekend Sunrise. Coming up, the president is expected back at the White House this week. Also ahead, Rhode Island's Attorney General wants stricter drunk driving penalties. 10s around town this Sunday morning with a look at some other things to do with the rest of your weekend. Today is the last chance to see Christmas at the Newport Mansions. The Breakers and other locations are awash in flowers, wreaths, and evergreens. Tours begin at 9 a.m. at the Breakers and the Elms, 10 a.m. for the Marble House. You can get more details by calling 401-847-1000. It's just one of the many events happening around town this weekend. For more, you can check out the community calendar on our website, turnto10.com.